the process of facilitating and releasing people's creativity on difficult problems, when I started teaching that, people would practice on societal problems. So they would practice on economic problems or the poverty or war or whatever, and they would have breakthroughs.
When Jim Ruff created the Wisdom Council, he created it because when he taught people dynamic facilitation, each time he taught it, you can't do role plays. You need to have something real, but they're coming from all these different organizations, so he picked social issues to work with, and they were coming up with similar solutions in different classes.
And I would be left with these marvelous breakthroughs and how they seem to fit together to me. So out of that came an insight about how the whole world could be fixed in with a slight change to our deep system, to our meta system, if you will. That we've structured ourselves to be in a competitive system, and that worked for a time very well because we were independent. But today we're interdependent, and naturally a competitively structured system will start breaking down. And some of the evidence of that, some of the symptoms of that are some of the problems we're seeing today. The countries going bankrupt and our healthcare not really interested in healthcare but interested in profit, and there's this evidence of collapse wherever we look. We're trashing the planet, and we cheer at the economic growth going up. At the same time, we're trashing the planet. That can't last too much longer.
And there's a way in which future generations could look back on us if we screw up things as much as it seems like we're going to be screwing up things with climate change and a number of other major extinction level, catastrophes. A lot of that is being created by our brilliance. We are individually and collectively, science is this incredible collective intelligence process, but it doesn't necessarily have any guidance system to make it wise.
It's really about adding the conversation to our existing system. If all of us could somehow call time out and just sit, all 8 billion of us, or however many we are, could sit around and talk about our situation in a respectful way, where we're trying to redesign institutions that they would work for everybody, we just add that conversation where we hear what people are doing and we face the reality of what's happening on our planet and the needs. And if we could find that space that all of us know exists, we know that we can talk that way. It happens in crises often. That, I call it choice-creating conversation. We know that conversation exists. And how do we facilitate it? And to facilitate it doesn't take much. I mean, sometimes it's just one facilitator in a room raises the level of thinking of everybody in that room. Whether they're wanting to argue, or they're fundamental religious believers, or they're, agnostics or whatever. It doesn't matter. Everybody can be in that conversation. And what we do instead, because we're missing that conversation, is we do a different kind of conversation. We do wars, or we do the political battling of debates, or, when you can't get your way, you throw bombs or demonstrate in the streets, or all that is the wrong kind of conversation to have as the basis for society.
The effort to solve things through conflict and who wins is ultimately a dead end, and there are now ways of communicating and thinking together and acting together which take our differences and use them as a resource instead of a problem.
Really, the Wisdom Council is a step, in my mind, toward that. And the Wisdom Council, and there are adaptations of the Wisdom Council that are a step toward that. And so a lot of what's happening, I think, is that we are proving that this process actually works at the small level and at the adapted level. and I'm just still holding the flag for here's how we fix society.
I know of nothing that comes close to the capacity of dynamic facilitation to not just resolve conflict, but to use it transformationally. And it actually needs conflict. It needs, we talk about a good hot conflict is for Jim like a tree filled with Christmas presents. Like, I can do something fun with this,